Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to discuss should you date a scapegoat? And I want to jump right into it and say that just because a person is a scapegoat, it doesn't mean that they're non narcissistic. So that's just something to think about. If they're a scapegoat, that doesn't mean that they're automatically non narcissistic. Some scapegoats are the mirror of their families, their toxic families, which singles them out. A lot of scapegoats are borderline personalities, covert narcissists, or cluster B personality. Don't make the same mistakes as me, thinking just because a person is a scapegoat within their family, that this person will automatically treat you right or act out of love and a caring heart. Sometimes scapegoats search for victims to get to get their steam off. I've dated two scapegoats in my early to mid 20s. They wasn't self-proclaimed scapegoats, but I was around their families long enough to notice that they were treated differently than the rest of the family. The one ex boyfriend that I had, he had to be the perfect child. He had to get straight A's. He had to be on the straight and narrow. All while his sister was just a narcissistic pothead that didn't accomplish much, and she was also a child predator. The parents didn't expect nothing of her, however, they still financially supported her throughout her adulthood, all while mentally making their son feel inadequate for getting a B on his report card as a college student. Even though he was clearly a scapegoat, he was a serial cheater. He was emotionally and mentally abusive. And I thought since he and I had similar struggles that we played on the same team, and that was very far from the truth. You need to find out the reason this person is a scapegoat before jumping into a relationship with them. Just because someone is a scapegoat of their family dynamic doesn't mean they're an empath. The scapegoat can be a mirror of the narcissistic parent or parents, and the narcissistic parent, of course, doesn't like what they see and will punish that child, leading them into being a scapegoat. Or the outside family will see that this child is picking up on certain characteristics of their parents, and it isolates that child and makes that child the scapegoat of the family. Um, but overall, scapegoats have the potential of being a narcissist or a borderline personality. See, in this situation, the person I was dating was a scapegoat because he thought he was better than his other family members. Since his parents put him on a high pedestal and they placed him on this pedestal, he had to perform on a higher level in order to fulfill that role. So even though he was a scapegoat, he was also a narcissist. And his other cousins and his other family members did not like him because he acted like he was better than them. Not because he was different like an empath or a chosen one. He was different in the sense of he was snooty and his family's pretty much ghetto. That was the difference. I want to discuss the next ex in my mid 20s that I dated that was a scapegoat of his family. And he was a scapegoat because out of 10 kids that his mom and his mom husband had, he was the outside child. So all his siblings had the same father except for him. and he was treated differently because of that. But he was a very mean spirited, negative person. Um, he tried to do sneaky things behind my back with his female friends. He was just a terrible person all the way around. Negative, walked around with a chip on his shoulder. So even though he was treated differently because he had a different father from his siblings. He was a scapegoat, but also he was narcissistic. And that's all that I'm trying to get through to anyone. Just because a person is a scapegoat doesn't mean they're automatically an empath. You know, you have to dig deeper. You have to look past the surface. You got to look at the character. You got to look at the things that they do, the things that they say. Because if you get caught up in just, oh, they're a scapegoat, I'm just going to pour all my love in them, you're going to regret it at the end of the day. You have to watch. Watch how they treat you. Watch how they treat you versus how they treat other people. Do they mistreat you? Do they treat you funny? And then turn around and treat somebody else with kindness and love? Do they treat you funny and then cater to people who mistreat them? It's all it's all in their actions. So a person, two things can be true at the same time. Yes, a person could be a scapegoat and also a narcissist. I forgot to mention when his stepfather passed away, his older siblings made it a point to not put his picture in the obituary. So even though this person was mistreated by their own family, it did not cancel out how he treated me. And just because a person is being treated wrongly in their families doesn't mean that they can be trusted. Doesn't mean that what they do to you is not important all because they're getting mistreated or they get the short end of the stick when it pertains to their family. I also want to discuss characteristics of a scapegoat who is undercover or narcissist. The first characteristic is they attack your self esteem. So, whatever they do to make you feel bad, it's just pretty much things that make you feel less of a woman or less of a man, or less of a person. It just makes you feel bad about yourself. The things that they say to you, how they treat you. You notice every time you talk to them or after you talk to them, you don't feel good. You don't feel uplifted. You feel kind of drained. You feel like this person is trying to put you down in a way. And they could do it in numerous forms. They could do it as making you feel like since you expect love and have expectations for them, they could try to make it seem like you're too needy. They need this or they need, they're just trying to make it seem like the things that you need as a person is just too much for them, you know, all while expecting you to show up for them. Number two is you can't believe what they tell you. They make you feel insignificant all while making outside people feel special or loved. So you could be with a person that treat their friends better than you. That's an obvious red flag. They cater to their friends. They cater to their family. But when it comes down to you, they have limitations. They have so much limitation for you. But for everybody else, they will break their backs for. That's a red flag, you know. You can't believe what they tell you. So you always have to question, is they telling you the truth? Because you caught them in lies. Another one is they are cheaters and or they have a wandering eye. They intentionally misunderstand you all while understanding outsiders or everyone else. And that's pretty much attacking your self esteem, trying to make you seem like you're dumb, you stupid, you're hard to understand. You can't trust them with your secrets because they'll use it against you on a psychological level. They're mean spirited with a nasty attitude, which means it's not enjoyable being around them. Every time you talk to them about something, they're either debating with you or trying to make it seem like you're not interesting enough to be heard. But if someone else say the same thing you just said or you just told them, they will give that person so much praises and they'll do it right in front of your face. They are emotional cheaters. This is why they have the wandering eye. Pay attention to who and what they have on their social media pages. They may not be bold enough to physically cheat, but they're emotional cheat because they feel it's harder to detect. Pay attention to who they watch and listen to on social media. A lot of people who are emotional cheaters, they only follow or watch people on social media or YouTube that they find attractive. So pay attention to their friend groups. If they have friends of the opposite sex, watch their interactions with these people. Remember, people like this don't associate themselves with people they think are unattractive. So you can definitely assume they're attracted to the women or men they follow on social media. You can also assume that they're attracted to their friends of the opposite sex. So even though this person is a scapegoat in their own family, if they do all of this stuff or some of this stuff to you, you have to question okay, they might be a scapegoat, but do they have cluster B personality? Are they narcissistic? Are they a sociopath? Just because a person is a scapegoat doesn't mean that they're an empath. And I had to learn this. And it just dawned on me like, you can't just cancel out, oh, they're a scapegoat, they automatically an empath. No, you will screw yourself over. You will screw yourself over and over again thinking and believing this. And I'm sorry if I sound a little stuffy. I have a cold. But I just had to give this message out because I feel like it's important. Don't just give your heart to people just because they is a scapegoat of their family. No, because they could be narcissistic. Watch, sit back, watch, and see, should this person deserve your love? Should this person deserve to be in your life? Because some scapegoats are narcissistic just like their parents.